Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So patch 5.45 has added a brand new set of steps for the Relic weapon, as well as brand new Relic armor to obtain. And I know that a lot of people have been speculating and wondering what exactly is the best method to get the Relic weapons as quickly as possible, or with secondary goals as I'm going to get into. And so trying to cut all the fluff because I know what you're here for, let's get right into it. So first things first is I do want to say that the Relic weapon is going to be something where I really do think that you need to think about it as, yes, I have the primary goal of getting the Relic weapon, but I also have secondary goals, because you don't exist in this game in a vacuum. Things like gil, housing, crafted items, the Relic armors, leveling alts, all of these factors do come into play, and I think that this Relic weapon is absolutely a chance to really flesh out those different characteristics of your character, or maybe make a little bit of gil on the side so that maybe you could get a brand new house, or maybe new furnishings for a house, or chocobo armor. There's lots and lots of potentials for this. And so just as an overview, this current additional set of steps added with patch 5.45 has 3 separate steps to it. These are not the literal first step, which was just poetics for this Relic weapon added like many months ago. This is specifically patch 5.45, additional new steps. So with all these steps, I need to ask you a set of questions, and you're going to be fitting into either a yellow or a green category, one of these two. But there's going to be different questions that are going to lead you to be either in the yellow category or the green category. So starting with step 1, I need you to ask yourself, do you want to make a significant portion of gil as you are grinding out the Relic weapons? And that's what these are. Your end goal is the Relic weapon, but these are augmenting how you're going to be approaching it. Now the second question is, are you looking to farm metal, which is going to be for Bozjan Southern Front leveling, as I'm pretty sure most people at this step of the Relic weapon are super familiar with, honestly. And metal is going to be very important for Relic armor. It's going to be very important for the more difficult Savage difficulty of Shrine of the Queen, where you are going to need 700,000 metal to enter that. And keep that number in mind, that is a lot of grinding. That is not going to be a trivial amount. And let's not forget that metal unlocks rank 15, which is going to allow you to use much more powerful lost actions, and likewise make you a much more powerful character in specifically Bozjan Southern Front content. My apologies. And so yeah, if you're looking at Relic armor, you're definitely fitting in the yellow category. And then the next final question for the yellow category is, are you looking at leveling an alt from level 71 to 80? And Bozjan Southern Front is very effective at leveling alts, I should say that. So in fact, I don't even know if I'd do dungeon grinding anymore, to be frank. So if you chose any of these, you're in the yellow category. Notes that I do want to say is future steps for relics might require rank 15 or high metal, such as this relic requires 700k metal for Savage. So be aware, you might need this if you do plan on continuing the relic. And so if you're in the yellow category and you answered, I want gil, or I want metal, or I want to level from 71 to 80 on alts, you're going to be doing Bozjan Southern Front. And that's going to be what you choose. So the green category is, are you looking at tomestones, specifically poetic tomestones? And I do cover what those can be used to purchase in this video of gil making guide on part 1 tomestones. And I intentionally marked that wrong because I always called them tombstones. Anyhow, I digress, sorry. I'll get right to the point. But if you're looking for poetic tombstones specifically, you're going to do Sicarus Tower. And you're going to spam it. And Sicarus Tower is, from my calculations, the fastest. Let's just zip to the top of this document really quick. And so I did a bunch of runs of Sicarus Tower. In fact, that's what I spammed. I did 15 Sicarus Towers. And then the average time of that was going to be 14.2 minutes, and then the average time to queue, I did queue as a healer rather than a DPS. I did like 2 DPS and then more healer, and so the average queue time was about 1.5 minutes. And so add these two up, that's going to be roughly like 16ish minutes. And so from the average, if you multiply that by 15, so that's just the average multiplied by 15, you're going to get 211 minutes or roughly 3.5 hours in order to complete this step if you're getting the same results as I am. And I don't know why you wouldn't, especially with 24 player alliance raids. Those are... A lot of that is out of your control. This isn't a dungeon where you can like micro-optimize your like rotation and pulls and stuff like that. If only. So you'll probably get the average. But on average, this has been the fastest by far in order to grind out this first step. So again, you're picking yellow or green, and that's the fastest. So step 2 is asking the questions for the yellow bin. Do you want to level from 60 to 71 on an alt, or get Grand Company seals? And Grand Company seals can be used for a heck of a lot. I have a different video. I didn't actually screenshot it here because I'm trying to get this video out as quick as I can for you guys. I have gone like no sleep. Have mercy, I forgot the screenshot, but there's like a guild making guide that's involving Grand Company seals. They're super useful. They're not staggering amounts of guild, but they are definitely something that will make a dent. And so leveling or GC seals from 60 to 71 in particular, you're gonna do fates. Bar none. You're gonna do the Girabinian fates, or you are gonna do the like Eastern fates. And then talking about tomestones again, you're gonna do Void Ark and Royal City of Ravenaster. But one thing I should say is from my calculations, Void Ark and Royal City of Ravenaster are staggeringly faster. I'll get up into that in a second. But one thing I do want to warn you is that it is misleading to say you're picking one bin or another. If you are truly optimizing your time, you will be queuing for these raids. And I chose these two in particular because they are by far the fastest raids. The other ones are higher item level of those expansions, and they require much more time, have much more complex mechanics. These ones were just the fastest in my experience, and I'll show you the data soon. But you're going to be primarily queuing for these raids if you're going for the fastest thing, but between the queues, you're going to be doing the fates. But one thing that I do want to say is that when you are leaving the Alliance raids, leave very quickly. Basically, as soon as the boss dies, pop out. Like, just immediately pop out of that raid, and then immediately zip, zap back into the queue. Because this is the idea of riding the curve. So you have 24 people that just killed a raid. There's a very high chance that they also have the same goal of you as farming out the relic weapon. And so when you are farming out the relic weapon, you are going to be basically trying to ride the curve. So 24 other people left, a lot of them are going to go back in. And so if you leave very quick and queue very quick, you are most likely going to be in the bulk of that group going back into the next one. And why I say that this is important is because as you are in that raid, it's very likely that other people who were not in the raid were queuing for the raid, and they're going to bump out the last people to queue from the raid. So leave quick, queue quick. And so why do I say this for the fates? So I did a video on this very quickly yesterday, but as a summary of what I did was I did 245 fates. It took me roughly 434 minutes, and I was farming a total of 20 memories for statistical norm of 20, or a sample size of 20. So basically it took 12.25 fates on average for one memory, and that gave me a drop rate percentage of 8.16%. And so really the time per memory for one memory was roughly 22 minutes. And again, time will vary because fates vary in difficulty. If you have blue mage or don't have blue mage, it's going to make a massive impact on exactly how these fates are going to go. And so your mileage may vary. Like if you have a fully kitted blue mage, if you are getting like easy fates, and if you're having everyone in the map contribute to a fate rather than just bloating its HP as they're doing nothing, it's going to make a massive difference. And so time to in here was, I just took this time per memory, 21.7, and then I multiplied it by 36 because you need 18, and 18 crystals is 36, and so I just multiplied that together, and so that is going to be 781 minutes if you are doing it at my pace. And I don't think my pace, for the record, let me stop myself right there, I don't think my pace is anything special. Okay, now total time in hours from this would be that divided by 60. Yeah, that divided by 60, which would be roughly 13 hours to complete this step if you're just doing fates. And so here are your warnings, here are your suggestions. I will not bloat the time of this video because people are just saying that video would be too long. So you can pause, read that. There are my warnings and my suggestions on that. And so what I'm going to be taking up, actually ignore this. This is not actually the raid stats, sorry. I'm trying so hard to get this done quickly for y'all that my formatting is absolute garbage. So step 2, what I did when I was actually collecting the data was I was doing the fates, and again I wasn't gonna do excess stats because we already got the drop rate from like 430 or whatever fates from yesterday. I wasn't gonna redo that. But as I was doing that, I was also queuing, and so it'd be like, okay, I did these fates, okay, raid. Okay, the raid ended, I'm going back doing these fates, okay, raid. Done, do these, raid. And so I really just took kept track of that, and so you could see like the time between the trash and the boss, and so the time between the first trash and finishing off daddy, which was 4 minutes. And yeah, you could just see, let's actually just pull up the stats here. So I just did a little bit of stats here, which the Royal City of Ravenaster, the total amount of time that I did, which was just adding up the total times at the bottom, was gonna give me 260 minutes. And how many clears did I do? Just to show some of the data, was 12. So I did 12 clears there. The rest were from fates. And so that would be this value here divided by 12. And so that would give me an average of 21.67 minutes per clear. You can tell that I have had like no sleep and I'm trying to get this out fast. I love my community so much. I should not do this to myself. So Void Arc, let me just quickly scroll down for the stats. So I only did 3 runs of this because honestly I wanted to get this video out quickly. I wanted to try Pass of the Dead. And I only have so much time in this time compression, especially with the announcements tomorrow. Okay, I will not talk about the announcements tomorrow, I promise. So I did 3 runs of that, and so my average time was between 16 and 17 minutes. And so here you have the stats. And one thing I should say is, but Alliance raids will give you 100% of the time. There's no RNG element involved. So what I did was I did the summary of all the times, and so that gave me 49 minutes of total time in the Alliance raids. This actually does not include queue time, so it might be a tinge higher. But 16 minutes and 33 on average. I just took this divided by 3, and so Void Arc is, in my opinion, much faster than Fates. But one thing I should say about Void Arc, Gear Albania maps, and then you have East maps here. And so Gear Albania has the map The Locks, which has 2 teleports on either side of the map, and I'd add more detail on that. Maybe I'll do a separate video on that, but the Locks has 2 separate teleports on both sides of the map, really making it much easier to traverse the map. It has constantly fates coming out and out, but probably the most important thing is that they have a lot of fates that level sync you down to like level 71 or level 72 or something like that. So you are above level 70, meaning that you are going to dramatically outscale in terms of gear things, and so your fates are going to be plus fast. Oh, nope, I don't want that. Whoops. Derp. But basically Locks is gonna be very quick fates. One thing I am gonna say about the East is that I was going to the Dawn Throne map, and that definitely was significantly slower. That map has optimal teleports because you have 1 teleport on the far left hand, far right hand as well. They have 1 in the middle, so you have 3 different teleports there, which is superb. But one thing I should say is that while there are fates that will level sync you to 70 that you can explode super fast, the majority of them are going to level sync you down. And again, if you're on Blue Mage, not the worst thing in the world, but if you are looking at severely out-leveling things and just blowing them into smithereens with like a Machinist or a Black Mage that is like level synced to like level 71 or something, you're gonna have a much harder time. And so I still, in my opinion, find this with average drop rate, because remember the drop percentage will not change based on how much the fates scale or do not scale. It's going to be 8% period. from my calculations at least. And so, in my opinion, Reset of Rabanaster, much faster. I just had a much quicker time actually killing the Fates just because of the level scaling and just because of the way that the maps were working. Well, 3 teleports, I'll just say just because of the way the Fates were scaling and just how I could level sync to a higher, couldn't level sync to a higher level, breaking the 70 cap. So it did take a while. So Royal Slayer of Rabanaster, I definitely prefer. Void Arc, prefer by a landslide. The data fully supports that. Goodness, I flung myself down onto here. Okay, and so yeah, that's the fastest from the calculations, but definitely my approach would be that. Step 3. So step 3, you need to ask yourself the questions of what secondary goals you want again, and the questions are: do you want relic armor? Do you want new challenging content? In particular, we're talking about the Shrine of the Queen Savage, the Delubilium Legene Savage. That is going to be new challenging content, and so you're just going to do Shrine of the Queen if you want that. And in my opinion, from my calculations, that is going to be the fastest. Now, the thing is leveling. And so leveling from 1 to 60 is extremely fast in Palace of the Dead still. Still super duper duper fast. But what I am going to say is that my calculations, just given the time that I've had, I haven't had the ability to do like 20 or 30 runs of Palace of the Dead and get like a more concrete statistic. But I will show you my stats in a second. Actually, let's just zip there now. So I did a total of 6 runs. So I did 1 to 10 and blah 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 all the way to 60. And that was a painful, oh yeah, I had a painful queue. That's actually what made me start doing this video right now, is because like this was like a 30-minute queue. I'll try and show some of the footage right here in the video. But I just took my start times and my end times, and then I got my total time, and then the only time that I actually got one was 1 out of 6 runs. And so my total runs were 6. I had, let me bring that onto the screen just in case I accidentally crop it out. So I had a total of 6 runs. I only had 1 drop. I took a total of 99 minutes, and so I just took the sum of all of these times. And then my minute per clear of Palace of the Dead was the minimum. And so that was 12 minutes, and so that was a very good party. We were skipping so much stuff. And so the drop rate was 1 in 6, so that's roughly 17-ish%. At least, I mean, one warning I will say is, like, this is obviously a small sample size. Obviously, some people might do better. I don't think that the percentage is exactly 17%, but yeah. And then my average clear here, taking these values, just dividing the time by that, and so it was roughly 16.5 minutes per clear of Palace of the Dead. And so, yeah, it's not something that I plan to do, at least on mine. Warnings I'm going to say is that how long these runs take are going to be very swingy unless you go with a pre-made group where you guys all are in agreement of, okay, we're gonna skip this to this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna skip that, we're all range DPS, we all have Peloton, we can all move super quick. You're gonna have dramatically swingy times. Like this run on here, that was a lower floor and it took almost double the time of 51 to 60 with a better group. So, buyer beware. Other things is bring potions to dispel silence, and no, we don't have one for pacification, but we have other things like petrify with like gold needle and stuff. So that would be like void drops or voice drops, something like that. So definitely a recommendation. Yeah. Oh yeah, casters are going to be very frustrating. Why I say range DPS is because you're going to have a very hard time spamming Fire Force Black Mage, for instance, in Palace of the Dead with like a group rushing. So range DPS absolutely have a huge advantage between Peloton and that. So yeah. Currently I am settling from what I've seen in Palace of the Dead is Shrine of the Queen has been the fastest. On Palace of the Dead, the queues also outside of the probably the fastest queue was the entrance points to, I guess, nobody's surprise. But immediately after this, it was like over a half an hour queue. It was insane to get into the difficult one. So I wouldn't even bother doing that, honestly. It was just way too long for me. So here is the time that I'm going to talk about my goals, because from the get-go of this video I was saying my goals are going to be probably different from everyone else's goals, but that this in choosing your secondary goal is a deeply personal choice, I guess. And so for me, I want to say, like, I have everything leveled to max, I want to challenge, and I want to obtain gear very, very quickly. But at the same point in time, I don't want to screw over my chances of getting things that I want, but at the same point in time, I'm not going to like bend over backwards for gil. But when I'm talking about gear, I'm also talking about armor. So guess which steps. So for step 1, I'm choosing Bozjan Southern Front because I need 700,000 metal. So, boop. Step 2, I'm going to be focusing on Alliance raids, as I said before. Highest chance, fastest. This doesn't really have anything to do with the armor, so I'm like, eh. And then I'm just gonna go and between the queues fill in with this. But again, I'm gonna try and ride the curve, so I basically will not be grinding fates. Step 3 is Shrine of the Queen strictly for armor, gil, and fun. Because to be frank, my biggest issue is probably step 2. I think that the one thing that's gonna make me slow down the most on the relic grind is step 2 by a country mile. Like, it's older content. I have everything leveled up. I've done these raids for the Heavensward relics into the dirt and back, like the Void Ark ones. Like, I have seen that so many times at this point. I don't want to do it, but so this step is just gonna be morale killer. But this step, I like the new content. I think it's cool, it's fresh, it's exciting still to me, so these are good. And step 3, I think, is probably going to be the coolest and easiest for me. It's probably going to take the longest, but it's going to be the most engaging for me. And for me, if I'm having fun, I really don't care. So there are my choices. And again, these are deeply personal, so why not? Heck, let me know in the comment section down below what your choices are. But I hope that this is extremely illuminating to everyone. I hope that the math helped people out to figure out what exactly they want to do. And yeah, happy relic grind. I think that these relics are definitely ones to look out for. I think that these are relics that are definitely going to stand out from the pack. I think that, yeah, these are going to be relics that once you obtain them, I would sure as heck be proud of them because they're going to look good, they're going to look unique. Yeah, I'm actually really pumped to get them, especially on my machinist right now. That's my first one that I'm getting, and yeah, let me know what relic you are actually gunning for in the comment section down below too. So let me know what your choices are here, what relic you're going for. Anyhow, this video is way longer than I intended, but again, I want to back up my claims with numbers, and there you go. Happy relic farming.